Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncy Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together. So, ladies, I think tonight we have an extra special treat because we have Diane with us today, and I am just thrilled because I think your experience has been one that so many of us can relate to. Would you mind introducing yourself to everyone so we can just get to know you a little bit better? And then I'm going to dive in with some questions because I really want to pick your brain.
So my name is Diane Kjellgren. Michelle and I have met each other through various AI groups, Secret AI Society. She leads AI, she is AI, and everything else AI. And the other awesome thing about I love Michelle because she's also an educator too. So I love educators and having that conversation, especially when we're talking about learning. I'm still working for a nonprofit and I'm a corporate trainer, but I was in education for a very long time. So I was an elementary school teacher, then a high school teacher, then I became a college professor, specializing in teaching English as a second language, and then working for corporate entities where they brought their executives to the country. So if they had their visas and they needed to assimilate, like you moving to Japan and suddenly speaking Japanese because now you're the director of finance, but now you have to do that in Japanese. So so I was the person that was helping executives and professionals assimilate to English. And that was a fun experience. And now working in the corporate sector, I really took to AI because corporate trainers do a lot of instructional design. And sometimes you want to create your lessons and make them really cool and make them visually pleasing because we have to, as you learned, you have to adapt to all the modalities and how anyone can grab content. So AI initially for me, when I joined Secret Society, was I wanted to enhance that and make really cool visual videos, and I didn't have to worry about copyright because it didn't have to look like anyone. Yay. If I wanted to be vain about it.
Exactly. And that's what I love about your experience is that you have really seen how AI can help you in your niche, in your area. And I'm wondering, what was that kind of mindset shift for you when you first started exploring it? What was that like? Are you kidding me? Aha kind of moment.
When I started playing with Midjourney, and all of a sudden I just typed in what I wanted. And then, so taking Jenna's class, yeah, I liked how she taught us how to prompt. So it was way less frustrating for me to get closer to what I wanted. But if I wanted to, okay, this week's challenge with the origami monsters, I haven't posted those yet, but origami monsters flying through the sky and landing to cause havoc in the city of New York. Suddenly I'm seeing images. These things that, and and as these tools get more enhanced, it blows me away. And then now I can animate this without a whole lot of
Crazy.
I know. And it's really cool. So that's all into like a rabbit hole. Suddenly I have B movie ideas that I could actually create in my head. And the problem is that it can start to get a little costly. So of course you really have to be choosy as to it's interesting because you could do like whatever the month for free or the 7 days for free, but then you're navigating costs.
And that's when you have a moment where you look at your tech stack and you're like, wait, it costs how much?
Well, it's like, how much are you spending a month?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, I know AI doesn't have to just be about productivity. I know you've said, especially, that it made space for you for creativity. So I'm wondering if you can share like a specific moment when that freedom helped you either rediscover or reinvent a part of yourself.
I've always had an artistic flair, let's say. I like doing art my way. I hated bulletin boards with a passion because you're paying for paper and borders. And one of the reasons why I didn't like elementary school was how much money I had to spend trying to make everything pretty and to overwhelm the senses and make, I don't know if that's ever anyone's experience, but it definitely was mine. And once I got out of elementary school and started teaching high school, it was a whole lot more creative with my head.
Mhm.
So I love being creative in my thinking, but this got me back to crayons.
Mm.
And I love crayons. I love being able to do what I want. And so Midjourney became my crayon. And it also, you know what? Like I can cope with things with AI, like that emotional component. Let me just create a monster stomping through the city, squashing my enemies. Or if you're having a moment or something funny and you want to have this vision in your head and all of a sudden you make that true. With yeah.
Right? Right. I've 100% had that moment where I was like, okay, I need to get back to myself. I need to find my Zen. And I will literally go into Alpha Midjourney and just look at what other people are creating. I will just scroll because for some reason to dip into that, even for just 5 minutes, can bring me back to center.
Well,
So I totally feel like I feel you. And I'm curious, actually, where do you think AI can offer that most like unexpected support, that moment?
it's a safe place within constructs, okay? As long as you're not gory or you can make yourself laugh because for a time, Cleveland, the land of Cleveland, everything had big boobs and it's if I'm gonna make myself laugh. And you can get vain too. Like, wow, I look really hot.
Yes, right? I just created the best version of myself ever. Exactly.
Why not? Like, I really do have elf ears. What? And in a way, you can bring yourself back to, you know what? You can bring humor if you're that type of person. If you're a sarcastic person, or if you just like, my head's like a movie all the time. And I can actually create that image as I see it in my head. In that way, it helps me cope with things, or it helps me come up with something funny, or even something really creative. It also helps tell the story. So you could revisit something you've learned before. Honestly, with the challenges that I've been taking part of in LinkedIn, and actually I've had to step away a little bit because I'm doing other things, but doing the LinkedIn challenges helped me connect the dots to other things I know of. So it ends up merging pieces of information together. So I was really excited that for the monsters, all over LinkedIn with Alex Asau, that I asked about, let's do something cultural because something brought me back to some cultural, like you were asking for that moment where like that, like you so I created a whole series of images about Colombian folklore that I grew up with that were scary, that you were taught, like you better visiting my family out in the coffee fields. And and you were told, oh, these little goblins are going to come and they're going to take you away and you'll never be seen again. But be careful because they look like little children. And so,
Horrifying.
so I wasn't trying to scare, but it was like, oh my God, this is a monster. It's a monster things.
Exactly.
And so fascinating. But what was even more fascinating was that when I made the suggestion and Alex said, let's do it, how many other things I learned about Russian culture, about Irish culture, all these things like Louisiana, the Loch Ness Monster, like all these different from places, Baba Yaga, and actually several versions of Baba Yaga, like out in Russia, out in Eastern Europe, and all these other folklore and different takes of certain folklore too. So it was it erupted like an opportunity for everybody else to, oh yeah, and back in Ireland in home country, we talk about this banshee and she's close to the cliffs of whatever and she comes out and then like this, somebody else will talk about La Llorona and there's different versions of La Llorona. So
Yeah. Yeah, it just gives you such an outlet and such a creative way to express yourself. And I know that you haven't even stopped there, right? Like you've created tools, you've explored patenting ideas, and I'm just wondering what kind of advice would you give to women who are feeling overwhelmed by some of the tech barriers that they see when it comes to launching these innovative ideas that inevitably are going to come forward?
well, okay, so the best thing I could say is that all it takes is typing it into ChatGPT, let's say. And then, okay, so right there, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Copilot, all these different tools that are available. And all you really need to do is ask it a question or just tell it an idea. You could ask it, how do I make this happen? And it's going to tell you exactly how you can make this happen. The other thing is, don't be afraid of what it suggests. In other words, because it's a different way of thinking. A lot of people say that it replaces thinking, and I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I'm Call me a skeptic, but I'm not that reliant on anyone except myself. Like in this fashion, I think as an educator, you also can agree here. And because if it's your responsibility to teach, right? And if you're an educator, it's your responsibility, A, to know what you're talking about, and B, have some reference, and C, actually back it up with truth. So you're not going to take a bot without finding out how true it is,
Exactly.
depending on what it tells you. So you're trusting in your own capacity to question and think of things, but also give yourself the allowance to read what it suggests. So here's a great example. When I wanted to write a business plan for one of the LLCs on autism that I'm creating, I there were questions I didn't think to ask. And Perplexity is great for that because it literally probes, it asks that I didn't think of certain things that the bots thought of. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. So I gave it the allowance of, okay, of course I don't know everything. And I'm glad this told me to think about that because I never would have thought to think about it. So
Right.
it takes, if you need baby steps, great. But it's okay to type an idea and see where it takes you. It only takes one sentence, one
Yeah.
question, and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And then just do it again if you want. And it can be about anything.
That's the wide open part of it, right? It's put in the idea that you feel is maybe even half baked. And then just ask, what more do you need from me? Or throw it into Perplexity, like you said, and look at those other questions that it prompts you with.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I hadn't really thought about those questions in Perplexity in the same way that you just laid that out. That makes total sense to me. Now that you've said it. Now that you've said it, I'm like, That's right. That one sense.
What is it called? What are they called? Like those books that we made as teachers, if you choose this path, this will happen. If you choose this,
Yeah,
this
it's
will
just an
happen.
adventure.
There
Yeah.
you go. And so that's what perplexity reminds me of. It reminds me of
Where
those
would you
types of,
like to go next? I love it.
if you take this pill, if you take this one, it will
Right.
actually mean.
Have next to it, right? The little red pill, the blue pill, red pill. Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, you just touched on something about you're building something that's in service of people who are working with autism. And so I really wanted to hear from you in your experience, how you think AI has helped bridge the gap for learners who are neurodivergent or who struggle possibly to thrive in those traditional systems.
I think it depends on how people learn. And of course, it depends on how comfortable they are in being able to use technology. Some of them are very much technological. So I think it gives them the non-judgment, the no judgment feature of exactly where their head wants to go to. They can do it on there's no one grading them. There's nobody judging them, and they could act however they want. They can literally do what they want in a very safe, personal environment, albeit that they're not trying to do anything harmful, right? They're just playing, which is the same thing as we're all doing. However, the thing I'm creating, I'm looking at this as a parent. So for me, I am a parent of my son who is autistic. And so he's of a certain age, he's becoming an adult. So I want to make sure that he could be employed. And we never talk about that. We never plan for that. Of course, my first question was, is there anything out there that helps people create programs that will eventually give employable skills to this population? And when I didn't find a yes, I decided to make one. So find the need. And see, that's the other suggestion I have for people. Find that need that you can't find. This is why it's such an important time, because you don't have to be a developer. You can just have a question. You could just have a need.
Mhm.
Go type it in, see if it's there. And if it's not, you know what else you can do? You can open up a Lovable account. You can then get a Manus so that you can map out the things like, okay, these are the things you need to think about. You need to have these things in place. So it becomes your little business planner. And then you're like, oh my God, this thing just came out 40 pages of awesomeness. Oh, wow. And of course, because you're an informed person, you're not just going to take its word. You're actually going to sit there and read 40 pages. And then you're going to say, does it really cost that much to do this? Okay, let me look. And then you start, the more you allow it to go, the more informed it depends the type of person you are, but surprise yourself with how you can answer your own question. So
That's part. Yes. I'm so glad you said that, because that was the part I have been so conditioned to expect to hit a wall, because my knowledge is limited, right? I expect to hit a wall. I expect to not know the answer at some point. But what I am used to then doing is having to make a decision. I'm either going to have to hire somebody that does know that. I'm going to have to spend a truckload of time learning it myself, or I'm going to have to give up or find a workaround. And that is such a hard habit to kick. So I had to learn. Have you asked ChatGPT how to do that yet? Have you looked? Is somebody explaining that to you? No? Okay. Can Chat explain that to you, or Claude explain that to you, or Perplexity? It's just like, that is an old habit to break, and we no longer need to have that barrier.
But then the scary part is you give yourself the holy molies. I'm not going to say bad words. I don't know if I can or not.
You're in a safe space. You can.
I'm not gonna start doing the Lewis Black or anything. Well, we'll keep it clean. But you have the oh shucks moment, and all of a sudden you've been up and you haven't slept and you're supposed to go to work. And all you've done is go through this Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole of and so you give yourself like the look of, oh my God, I have been
Wait, this is possible.
wait,
Yeah.
I need to go. It can suck you in. It
Yeah.
really can suck you in, especially if suddenly your questions are being answered. And you might start with an idea and end up in a completely different tangent. So I don't really call it like hitting a wall. I call it a possibility of a different avenue. And it's like you wanted to go to, let's just, for example, let's say you had the idea of trekking through the Silk Road in China because you've only learned all about, how this road was very important in history before there were sailboats and all this stuff, whatever. And as you go exploring, you start hitting different small towns and then you want to hang out. And then there's a volcano close by and you want to go see that volcano. And then in that volcano, you see how like the spas or something that are there. I don't think that you hit a wall as much as you begin to see other things that could influence. It really, what it does is this, I think. I think suddenly
Yeah.
you're
You're sucked in.
Right, but the Silk Road, wait, okay. Well, back there.
That's interesting. I'll go that way too.
But then that's the thing. You want to go that way. Like you're
Mhm.
okay, the Silk. Okay, that's very nice. All right, back in the Silk Road. Okay, wonderful. I just went the other way.
But you have so much more context now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot more history and now you're talking to the people or maybe you're discovering that they made something along
Yeah.
the Silk Road and you hung out where they made and manufactured this and all this other stuff. I'm just throwing the Silk Road because I've
It's a
seen
metaphor that works. Yeah.
it's also, I think we have this need. I think we as educators are, what is it? We're always learning.
Mhm.
We always have to learn. Somebody told me like one time that they were sick of learning. I have yet to have met anyone who is an educator, even at their really old age, that have ever gotten sick of learning. I've not met that person yet, even when they're very old.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know
Oh,
about them.
I went back to my college, my college stomping grounds, and I walked that campus just, oh my God, I would go back in a second because it's just a thrill of learning something new. So I so get that. And as a learning and development specialist, I'm wondering where you see the future of AI enhanced training going, especially for like nonprofits, for academic sectors. What does it look like?
For academic sectors, and this is because it's not that long ago that I was in a classroom, I do see how it can potentially enhance someone's capabilities. But of course, we're also building the tools to say, no, I know chat wrote that and you did it. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
glad you asked it a question, but the M dash gave it away. That's not how you write. You need to put it. I mean, word back. So it's catching the plagiarism way better. But if you're smart, you challenge your own brain and rewrite it your way in your own tone. Okay. I will be the first one to admit that I might have, like, I would use Grammarly to improve the way I said something, but I still went back and made sure it was me. It's like, whatever, cheating plagiarism 101. Like, it can't look like you cheated. It has to look like it's you. You could reference, but you can't copy it. Because I think you and I grew up at a time where you could get expelled for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You could get expelled for copywriting and not referencing. Like, I thought, yeah, that was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And in some of the more competitive college environments, even, you still can. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done around that in the academic sector. Like, how do we train? It reminds me of what we went through when Google and internet became a thing. It's like we have to train them. We can't just ignore it.
But I think teachers can model it.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly responsible for still teaching 2+2. Okay. Like, however we do it. Okay. However we decide to bring this about to their minds, it's still our responsibility to teach it. But if they're going to use the computer to learn it, then we're going to have to teach it through the computer. But let's do it right. See, and this is where, as an educator, you have to get creative. That's what the students are going to use. Here is the computer. Teacher, how are you going to teach exactly the same thing with this now? We had to do, as a teacher, I'm sure you've gone through the evolutions of how you're evaluated, right? People used to be in rows, right? And now everybody's all togetherness. And how much backlash that got. Wait, together? Really? Yes, together. Sitting all together. Now on the floor reading a book and stuff. Wait, but they're 17. Are you sure? The good news is that as you get older, that becomes a little less instilled. But nevertheless, you're given what you're supposed to teach. If this is how people are learning their stuff, then it's your responsibility to model it right. So we can have that opportunity. Let's model how to do it right. That's how I see it with the education. Now, with the nonprofit, it's always money. Nonprofits, the biggest challenge is spending money. So AI could be great for saving money, but then you're also dealing with compliance, and we're still learning about that. We're still learning how to navigate that, because if your business is heavily critiqued and, of course, audited because you're accepting funds from the city, the state, whatever, and all of this, you still have to count each cent you spend and back it with every reason why.
Yeah.
I would say it's still a learning process, but I do believe that it can be very useful as far as the time it can take to do certain tasks, for sure.
Yeah. And we've touched on usefulness with other aspects as well, creativity, content creation. What do you think we're not talking enough about when it comes to a midlife reinvention in the AI era?
We're not talking about our habits.
Tell me more.
Okay. And I've actually thought about this with some of the things that I write about. I'm used to having to think all the time. That's my job. My job is to teach people how to think, and I have to always be on my feet. Like, I'm never not. And then it's funny because people are very comfortable with what they know. And then suddenly they have to learn again. And that could feel like a big challenge to people, the need to have to assimilate and learn again, especially when you've had this comfortable road. Look, when you've had this comfortable road as the director of something, and you've got these paper certifications and a master's, and you've been at this game for a long time. You think you know it, and God bless you for it. But now you're jobless and you're 50 and you've been a director. So that means you're expensive. So people literally have to think outside the box. And ones that have been very successful didn't even think twice, but just went ahead and did it. Look at some of the people we know that, and they're not young. These are people that come from like a world of experience. And what we're not talking enough about is the fact that you have so much to offer in your age that, and this AI thing, that you are the first person to model what this can do. Didn't you spend 20 years in finance? Didn't you spend 20 years as a marketing designer? Didn't you spend 20 years doing this? And now here's this AI thing. It's a gift. What do you do with it? And the ones that are successful are the first ones. This is why I love this population and mostly our age group, because we're not talking to kids. We're talking to, these were executives. These were women that go and run their business. So of course it's very motivating to talk to someone who had up teen amounts of experience being an executive and taking AI and doing their origami with it and making it relate to today. And guess what? I'm doing it better because I know what the heck I'm doing. I know something about marketing. This is how I'm using it. So as long as you're open to learning, because that's what it is, it's not that hard. I shouldn't say that.
I think you're on the right track. In fact, I always wrap up each episode as of late with a gauntlet thrown. What challenge do you want to put down for the women that are listening to this episode if they're unsure of where to begin? What is that one first step you'd recommend, gauntlet thrown, challenge laid down, for them to use AI to spark some new a new chapter in their professional life?
Either answer that question they wanted to ask and or find, how do I say this? Answer your question and fulfill the need you've been looking for. All you have to do is ask it a question. Ask ChatGPT the question you want to answer. And if there's no answer, ask it why there's no answer, and then go find that answer, and or better yet, build it. Yes, you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope I didn't ramble when I said that, but I tried to say this in the most impactful way. And of course, my moment. Oh, well.
That was perfect. That was perfect. I love it.
Oh, man.
And
Thank you.
we're all the better for having spoken with you today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolute blessing. I love it. I love it. All right. Gauntlet thrown, challenge down. Let's go start asking the right questions.
Just ask it a question. Ask it a question, that question you've always wanted to know, and then go build the answer if it's not available. It's actually easy. Ask how to build it, and it will actually tell you how.
I love it. All right. Creating the next generation of makers and builders.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource, created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.